What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Spread Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and by Glockoma. So, Glockoma, I know it's been a rough weekend for us, right? Not only did your bid to buy Twitter fall short by $500 million and it went to Elon Musk instead, but the Mavericks couldn't get it done, man. I was ready to just get this team out of my life. And what happened there, man, in game four? I mean, Dwight Powell, 75% free throw shooter, misses a couple free throws. They don't box out. Like, what were your thoughts on the Mavericks and the Jazz this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good game. I feel like Luka in the first half, he was kind of testing out that calf, wasn't really going as hard as, he normally does. And then in the second half, he kind of looked way more aggressive to me and started taking to the hole, making plays. Looked like his normal self in the second half because, you could kind of see like in the first half, he was kind of taking it easy, didn't really like push it that hard. It felt like. So it was good to see him go off in the second half. But yeah, I mean, it was just Maxi Kleber. It's tough for me to say, but he's kind of like the X factor in this series. And if he gets in foul trouble, the Mavs just don't have bigs that can spread out the floor. Like you're either gonna play Dwight Powell or Davis Bertans, right? Bertans doesn't play any defense, and then Dwight Powell can't shoot from the outside. So, if Bertans is in there, Rudy Gobert, he's gonna crush like he did last game, get all the free throws attempts that he wants, get all the lobs that he wants. And then Dwight Powell, he's better defensively, but he can't spread out the floor. And so when he's out there, you saw at the end of the game, right? He could have just at least hit one free throw, right? That's all I was asking for that moment, but he couldn't, unfortunately. And then they come back and get that lob on the other end. But one thing that I do see that's interesting is like some of these home teams are getting like plus 15, plus 20 free throw attempts on the opposing team, and you're seeing the coaches come out and complain about that, like Memphis at Minnesota, right? Taylor Jenkins came out after the game, roasted the refs. And Jason Kidd didn't do this for the Mavericks, but they got outshot from the free throw line by like 15 to 20. And then last night, you see Monty Williams, going in Phoenix at New Orleans, they get outshot from the free throw line. So it's something interesting to take into account tonight, and we can see like how the refs are going to react. But it's tough to beat a team when you get outshot from the free throw line 20 times. Like that's like, at least if you make 50%, that's 10 free points, right? So yeah, I mean, it was sad to see. And then also that last 2-minute report that the NBA comes out with, so triggering. Like, I don't even know why they come out with that.
What's the point of that?
Just to trigger you more. But basically that play where Donovan Mitchell got the and one, right? He misses his layup, pushes off with his elbow, and then that doesn't get called. He gets the offensive rebound, gets like a ticky-tack and one call off Luka, and that's obviously what puts them down one. But if he would have got the offensive foul call charge, it would have been Mavs ball 99 to 95 with 30 seconds to go with Mavs ball. So likely Utah would have had a foul. So yeah, I mean, that came out on the report. That pissed me off the next day. I was pissed Saturday, and then that came out on Sunday. I was pissed yesterday. But yeah, I mean, Mavs are coming home tonight. Game 5. I think they've won the last 5 games. They've won 5 straight game 5s at home in the playoffs, and it's gone back kind of far because the last time we won a first round was when we won the championship. But it's something to keep in mind for tonight. I hope the free throws are at least even, or we get a little edge there. And then I hope Luka comes out with that fire, and I expect a monster game from him personally. But yeah, kind of heartbroken. But 2-2, what can you do? Jazz took one of the first 2 here. We took one of the next 2 at their place. So it's now a best of 3 series. So I'm looking forward to it. I've loved the playoffs so far. It's just a total nuts. Like when you can just sit down and watch basketball all day, and it's all competitive, high intensity. Every possession matters, and all the teams are trying their hearts out. So yeah, I've loved it so far.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us in the chat. Remember, runpuresports.com, promo code GETBETS. Richie Smalls, let's get it. Had a monster week. Ready to do it again. And hey, Tyler, couldn't have done it without you. Had a pretty good week myself. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. Ready to get back into some rundowns. I mean, last Friday we did that rundown with AP. We broke down some DFS. We had some screenshots to show after that. So glad to get on the board
I
over
forgot.
there.
That's how long the weekend is, right? It's
Yep.
like So talk about that. Talk about your win real quick, because I know that we use Giannis in our core. But so what happens? You go on lunch break and you're just like, you know what? I need to pivot. Like, how did this happen, Tyler?
No, I went to get lunch before going to work and pulled
Okay.
up to the drive-through, and there's like 20 cars there. It's like, well, I'm not waiting in this line. I'm gonna go over here. Drive to work. I was like, I had one more. I was making 3 lineups that night. I had 2 already made. I was like, I'm gonna make one when I get there. And I was like, I'm just gonna take Giannis out of this one. He's in the other 2. And Just happened to pay off for me.
Excellent work. Excellent work. Yeah, definitely excited to see that. So pressure's on, Glock. We gotta come through today. Maybe we'll talk about starting some players, because unlike when you're on during the regular season, right? I don't think we really have like news that's going to kill us here, right? I mean, the only thing I see is Frank Nicotine is questionable. So I think we'll be okay to go ahead there. So Tyler, before we jump into today, was there anything else? Mavs-Jazz is going to be something we're talking about later, but of the series that we're not going to talk about today, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I mean, do you have any thoughts on the Warriors and the Nuggets, or the Heat and the Hawks, Suns, Pelicans? Like, what are your any general thoughts basically on what we've seen that we're not going to do today for the?
I think all the other series are pretty much stuck to the normal. I mean, outside of the Timberwolves getting that second game, I thought they were dead after blowing that lead in game 3.
That was impressive.
Going down 2-1. So, yeah, that impressed me. But, I mean, Toronto picking up a win. They're just going to get the gentleman sweep tonight, I believe.
Yeah.
Same thing with Denver. The Utah-Dallas series, I mean, we all know how it is when you bring back star players like Luka. It does take that game or two to get, readjusted. You kind of seen that last game. And, I mean, it is kind of surprising to see the Celtics beating up on the Nets like this, but I did pick them to win the series, so I'm sitting nice at a 3-0 lead.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then the Suns, their role players better get it together, because next round is going to be a lot tougher, even if they survive here.
You're still thinking, hey,
you're getting it. You're putting them to the next round, Tyler. Oh man, Jose Alvarado, baby.
You don't think they'll be able to survive? I mean, last night was just the free throw epidemic.
So yeah, the TNT crew kind of brought up a good point. Like CP3 is 36 years of age, right? And he's kind of at that point where he's having like a good game and then he's having a bad game, and he's like alternating, right? And so it'll be interesting to see what he does next game. I think the rumor is that Scott Foster is reffing game 5.
Are you serious? Like, I hate this guy. Like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah, that's the rumor.
To the point where everybody knows you and you take over the game, they got to pull you aside and say, hey, we got to get you upstairs. You don't have to fire him. Just get him some job off the court, because, and we're going to get into this. And you know what? Let's just transition right into it, because it's the first game of the night. And I'll tell you what, it ruined my day when I got the news, because I'm just like, I want to watch a basketball game. Like, Zach Zarba, I'm over, and Scott Foster's even worse. This is just bad. So how do we handicap this game? I mean, does it change your handicap? Because I'll tell you what, it made me a lot less likely to get involved on the Boston side when I read that he was in there. Start with you, Glock. Like, and of course for DFS, I guess it doesn't matter as much, but we still need to handicap this game and figure out if it's going to be close or not. Like, how does seeing Scott Foster in there change the way you approach it, especially from a betting side?
It's for me or Tyler?
Start with you, Glock. We'll start with you.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I was more of the Scott Foster guy, like for the CP3 narrative. I don't know if he has much beef with these guys here.
No, but here it is, though. He's a company guy, right? And the teams, so
they want to extend
all the game ones out.
Yeah.
The teams that are behind in the series, 19-2 in his last 21.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so the extender quote, right?
Yeah. So with that in mind, like, you have to favor the short spread for Brooklyn, right? Despite how bad they've looked. KD is on his burner account on Twitter, looking at all the noise, saying that this is a legacy game for him. And, obviously if he doesn't win here and get swept, like, well, everyone's going to be like, what has he done, without Steph Curry? Like, he's done nothing.
Will they, though? Because they have been dead silent through 3 games. Like, I haven't heard much chirping. Like, if this was LeBron, it would be front page news of they're down 3-0.
But LeBron's in the Jordan argument. KD's like in the fringe top 10 argument.
I mean,
so I think,
but he's supposed to be that next guy. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
he's 34. I'll be honest.
I know, but he was supposed to be the guy that took the torch from LeBron in these next couple of years and ran with it. You can't be doing this. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, KD.
I threw that tweet out, right? It's got to be Team Tatum now, right? You can't go back and call Team Durant next year at the All-Star game. Give me a freaking break. But no, I've really been impressed with the Boston defense, and I think that it's just a terrible matchup for them. But you're right, like those generational guys don't have bad matchups. And I thought he was going to figure it out by now. I mean, I've just taken L's left and right on this series. I wish I could this series didn't exist. I was so excited for it beforehand. Even after game one, actually, no, I did cover that game, but I did have money line. But I was like, oh, this series is going to be so awesome. And it hasn't been. So, anyways, you guys were going on there. So maybe Glock, keep going. But Tyler, keep jumping in and you hear something.
Yeah, so I was on KD the first 2 games in the series on a DFS perspective. And after, I watched the games, I was like, okay, I cannot play this guy anymore. Like, it's really tough for Kevin Durant to get to 50 fantasy points, I think, in this series. And maybe tonight he proves me wrong, right? He's definitely a Twitter burner guy. We've
been
knows
saying that for 3 games, though.
yeah. I got off of him last game, and I was on Tatum, and that worked out, particularly well for me. So I think that's my plan tonight. Obviously, from this game, I think my priority is going to be Tatum. He's done nothing that that should take me off of him. He's just looked great. Defensively, Brooklyn Nets have like no answer for him, while on the opposite side, it seems like Boston has all the answers for KD, and Kyrie's not stepping up to the plate. So my priority from a DFS perspective is definitely going to be Jason Tatum. I think he's my favorite spend up on the night for sure. And yeah, like if we're really going to see that killer instinct, if we think Tatum has it, he's going to come out big and knock out Brooklyn here if he thinks there's some blood in the water. So yeah, I think that will be my priority from a DFS perspective. I'm not going to go to KD. I'm not going to go to Kyrie. But on the flip side, that Scott Foster narrative is interesting. if you do think the Brooklyn Nets are going to win this game, come out with a fight, then surely one of Kyrie or Kevin Durant.
I'll tell you what, it kind of gets me worried more about the Tatum play, because I'm thinking if I want to affect this game, I need Horford and Tatum to have 2. I need the 2 guys that are troubling Durant. Because this idea that Durant is washed to me, I think is a little bit. I see you, Jonathan Nelson. I think it's not taking in the fact that he's going to crush everyone else. Like what happens in the regular season when he's getting covered by Jose Alvarado or Franz Wagner or Kevin Huerter, right? Or Sadiq Bey, right? Like he's still going to crush those guys. He just can't crush this specific defense that's tailored to him. Yeah, so they got to get those guys out of there.
Boston has the personnel to shut him down completely, and we've seen that through 3 games. Like, I do think I think Nash kind of figured out what was working for them last game, and that was finally getting shooters around them. Not putting Blake Griffin in the game, but ending the game with like a Seth Curry and Patty Mills around KD and Kyrie, right? Like those 2 guys, they're kind of dusty, but they can stretch the floor out, right? So I think like Patty Mills at 3-1. I think AP pointed out in the playbook, he's a little interesting as a punt value play because he did close last game. And, if Nash sticks to the same game plan where they need these outside shooters when Kyrie and KD are getting doubled, then these guys are going to get wide open looks. And, at 3-1, and then I think Seth Curry is like 4-5. He's 4-4 on DK. Like if they're getting open shots, you'll take those 3-point attempts all day. So that's kind of my thoughts on this game. Tatum priority spend. And then maybe Bruce Brown as like a last-in tournament value.
I like
option.
Bruce Brown a lot, man. That guy's just.
What about the other Brown, Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, that was where's your supposed to ask too. Go ahead, Glock.
Yeah. I mean, Jason Tatum's getting all the attention, right? But silently in the background, you got Jaylen Brown doing his work in the back. He's going to be a lower cost, lower ownership. Definitely can't fault you for going there. But in the playoffs, I think I'm always going to try to target the head of the snake of each team, and it'll be Jason Tatum for me. But yeah, definitely can't fault you for going Jaylen Brown for sure.
All right, Tyler, give me your breakdown here, man. I don't know what to make of this Scott Foster news. It felt to me like, number one, the Celtics had the best scheme to attack there. And when we're talking about Steve Nash, what does the guy do? I mean, the guy's a backup quarterback. What does he do besides hold a clipboard? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
He doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah, and then I also felt like the Nets were defeated. When you listen to Kyrie after the game, well, Kyrie looked like he just wanted to go burn some more sage. I mean, He's just happy to play basketball, right? Like, I'm just happy to be here, guys. And KD sounded defeated, man. I thought, hey, they've really beat this team physically and mentally. Then I get this referee news. I don't know what to do. Talk to me, Tyler.
Yeah, before that, I wanted to touch on the KD stats and him being washed. I seen this on Twitter. It says expected effective field goal percentage for an average player taking his shots in this series. 40%, third worst in the playoffs. Expected efficient field goal percentage for KD taking those shots, 53%. His actual percentage, 45%. So he's playing above league average, but it's just not the KD standards.
Well, it's just also really tough shot.
Guy, but just think, if you put another guy in that role, like say just an average small forward, average power forward, like they're not scoring more than 10 points. Like they're in a straight body bag to where like he's still getting a little bit, but he's just not putting up his usual numbers. So I think it's more credit to the defense of Boston.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and as for the game, I mean, I think everyone's going to line up and take Brooklyn here when they hear Scott Foster's reffing the game. They're down 3-0. They want to extend it. All the series, there's not been a sweep this year. They're going to sweep them tonight. The referee winning stats for all these refs tonight, Scott Foster in Boston games this year, 53%. Brooklyn, 45%. Sean Wright, 47% for Boston, 45% for Brooklyn. Brian Forte, Boston, 65%, Brooklyn, 43%. So all the refs favor Boston. I think this game is going to end up being where KD and Kyrie kind of wave the white flag. They showed Kyrie walking into the arena today. He did not look happy. Looks like he doesn't want to be there. It kind of reminds me of when Boston played Milwaukee a few years ago, and you could tell he gave up. I mean, the guys have played 176 and 167 minutes in 4 games. Back to the play-in game. These guys got to be tired. I think they wave the white flag tonight and just give it up after a few quarters. Once they realize that there's just no beating them.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain extent, if the way they're playing that way too, it's going to be hard for the refs. Like I said, other than like just getting Horford and Tatum literally out of the game, boy, not a lot there going on. So, all right. Yep. Well, I'm glad that you took a stand, Tyler, because I'll tell you what, I was sitting there, call me Waffle House on that one, right? I was waffling. But boy, you really took a stand there. Glockoma, is there anything else we missed on this game before we go to the next one?
No, yeah, I think one thing Josh Gillen pointed out, one play I forgot to mention is Claxton. I've been playing him on these past few slates. I feel like one of their best lineups is when he's out there. I don't know why Nash just continues to start Andre Drummond and then he's only
rebounding.
Playing he's barely playing and not producing. So it's like
if they want to win this game, they start Claxton tonight.
Yeah, generally, like when you go down 0-3, like, are you gonna really stick with the same starting lineup? Like,
I know they should have just started Simmons.
They need. Yeah, speaking of Simmons, geez, we'll get into that after. But yeah, like I feel like they need to make a change, like no doubt. And it'll be surprising if Nash doesn't make a change. But it is the first game of the slate, so keep an eye out on the starting lineup. If Nash was smart, I do suspect him to make a change with that starting lineup. And like what Tyler said, Claxton should be a great candidate for that, making him, a really strong play on the fantasy side. If so, if not, I still think he's a fine play off the bench. You'll get him lower owned. And yeah, I guess we could talk about Simmons. Like, man, I don't even know what to say about that guy. I don't even know what to say about that guy. Because like, why would they even come out with reports that he's going to play in game 4? Like, if there was even a possibility of him not playing, like that just makes him look bad. I don't know whose idea it was to or maybe it got leaked or something like that. But like whoever's idea it was to publicly release that info saying that he has the possibility of returning in game 4 and then retracting on it and then coming out that he woke up with back soreness. That's just terrible. I don't know. I thought Rich Paul and, Ben Simmons' agency were supposed to be the tip top of the NBA, but the way that this info is getting.
Since when? They've blown a lot.
Yeah.
They've blown a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think. Who's the other guy that sued them?
Oh, I forget. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, I guess you're right because they just have LeBron, right? And like, if
other than that, it's not like David Falk where he was this, and that's Michael Jordan's agent who basically was accused of running the league the same way
that Noel.
Clutch does.
That's who it was.
Nerlens Noel, great knowledge there. David Falk was an accomplished agent before that, right? Whereas Rich Paul kind of made his name this way. And you know what? Gregory Russo, a little late to the chat. because he's got those running shoes on for the victory lap, right, Greg? We'll give you your credit here, right? We were opposite, and you were on the Boston Celtics, and it looked like everything you said about that team has been correct. Tyler, any more props from this one?
Yeah, I mean, looking at some of these player performance doubles in this game, I mean, Jaylen Brown 25 plus points and win at plus 250, Tatum 30 plus and win at plus 210. You could go Marcus Smart 15 plus points and win at 3-1. I don't hate that either. Or you could just take his 3+3s and win at 3-1. You could go to Jason Tatum double and win, but I think with Robert Williams back, he's going to play some more minutes tonight. I think that kind of eats into Tatum's rebound number, so the double-double's a little iffy, but that's plus 450. And then you could play Jaylen Brown 4+3s and win at plus 630, I think.
You know what? You brought up something good. One more before we go on. Tell me what you thought of Robert Williams, Tyler, and then Glock. Even if you're not going to play him, at least talk to me about like what your thoughts are for Robert Williams tonight. What did you think of him? I thought he was pretty good for coming right back and seemed to move in pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, I think he looked really good. I mean, it's just going to help their defense even more. So, I mean, it's also going to give Horford the break. Now Tice can go foul out, and they don't got to worry about having to play small. So they'll be fine.
Yeah, Tice was supposed to be in an emergency break of glass. They got that axe for the emergency, but hopefully they can put the glass back on. Glockoma, Robert Williams is a DFS option. Is he too high priced?
He's not too high priced. He's just not getting the minutes. Like I wasn't interested in any of the bigs once we got the news on Saturday that he was playing. So
Okay.
I think with him in the fold, I personally don't think you have to consider any of the Celtics bigs. I mean, I do think Daniel Theis is kind of cheap at 4.2, but he'd be more of like a last in piece for me. I don't think I'd rather just play Claxton at $400 more. So
is Tice one of those conspiracy theory plays where you figure that they just give him so many fouls he ends up getting a bunch of run?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be it for sure.
The conspiracy theory play of the day.
Yeah,
if you want to throw that one out there.
but generally, like from a
hardwood show.
DFS perspective, like you're always trying to find like where the value is, and anytime another body gets added into the rotation, especially like a big rotation, generally you don't really want to mess with it. So that's my opinion on the situation. Probably just fade the Celtics bigs personally.
Oh, you know what? And I know we're kind of jumping all around here today. Shout out to JSU. He loves this format. Didn't it feel like Steve Kerr was straight experimenting with the lineups for the next series instead of trying to win?
Kuminga alert. Yeah.
I thought it was genius. You got this kid Kuminga, who in my mind is going to be running that team in 3 or 4 years when Steph's like 36 or 37 and it's just a corner shooter. Give him some playoff experience. Let him see what it's really like to be out there when the other team is fighting for their lives.
I agree.
I mean, it sucked for me because I put Denver money line Warriors money line in a parlay, and I lost because of it. But at the same time, I couldn't even be mad. Do you think Udoka does anything like that either? Or he's not like Steve Kerr level to try something like that, right?
Nah, he hasn't won any championships or has the pedigree, right, with the players and experience that Kerr has with Curry, Draymond, Clay. So yeah, I thought it was a brilliant move by Kerr. He could see if he could trust him in certain situations. And yeah, I don't think Boston's going to play to win tonight. They still have a chip on their shoulder. They have stuff to prove. Job's not done, as everyone keeps saying, Karl Anthony Towns and stuff like that. So yeah, job's not done for Boston. I think they'll stick to their normal rotations.
All right. And we the people now, I guess you're gonna have to keep watching the show for 2 to 3 more years because he's not gonna be good soon. But hey, we're gonna come back to this. I'm not on my phone, but I'll screenshot if I can. All right, Tyler. Anything more on Nets? Or are we ready to move on?
No, I got nothing left on that game.
All right. I thought it was a pretty good breakdown, though. That's a lot of fun. Toronto Raptors are now catching 8. Quick thoughts. That series has got to be like, honestly, I used to like Philadelphia and Embiid like a lot more. Even like Mangone and JSU used to always tease me for overrating that team. But now that that discourse has just gone to the officiating, it's so tiresome. And you know that it's just going to come back in full force tonight. Here's the thing, though. I think they did a great job setting this number because 8 is so high where Philadelphia could be comfortably in the lead for the whole game, like between 6 and 12 points. You never really feel like Toronto's going to win. but they could still not cover here. I think the books did a great job of setting this line. I'm kind of like fatigued with the whole Embiid fouling thing because I'm telling you what, it's going to make me want to root against them because I don't want to hear about this after every game because it just feels like after game 3, Nurse is complaining. After game 4, Embiid's complaining. There'll probably be more complaints tonight from whoever loses. So little discouraged about that. And I realize just Embiid and Harden on the same team. That's just how it's going to be. So, hopefully someone takes Philadelphia out in the next round so I don't have to listen to this anymore. But I think they did a good job of setting this line at 8. I even think the total is pretty strong at 211. If anything, I lean under because I feel like most likely that the Sixers cover that number. Like if I have to choose a side, I'll lay the 8, but I'm really close. I could see the Raptors covering. But there's a blowout possibility. And also I think that, if the Raptors do cover, it's a low scoring game, more likely to go under. I think the under is the best play. Don't love it. Don't even love this game. Hopefully this series ends tonight. Start with you, Glock. What do you think?
Yeah, from a betting perspective, the spread and total definitely seem like properly set. So I don't think I'm going to have any action on this game personally. And yeah, We the People says Embiid and Harden are the flop bros.
I know.
That
Splash
is
bros and flop bros.
That is correct because I saw a tweet from a pretty prominent guy, Haralabov Vulgaris.
He used to work for your team.
Yeah,
Are you guys buddies? Did you ever hang out with them?
I wish. I would love
see
to
you
pick
guys
that guy's brain.
making some lineups together.
Yeah, I would love to pick that guy's brain. But yeah, he had a tweet where it's like Philly averages 1.5 flops per possession, and then he had a clip where he put some clips together where you could see at the beginning of the possession, Harden has a ball, and then he drives, and then he falls down, and then he passes to Embiid. Embiid goes up for the layup, and then he gets fouled and falls down. So they're both down on the floor. But yeah, I get totally what you're coming from. So from a DFS perspective, I think on the Philly side, I'm not going to have that much exposure. I think Embiid with that torn ligament in his hand, he's just playing a little bit safer than what he usually would. He doesn't want to fall on the floor and use his hand as a brace and stuff like that to affect his hand. So I think from the Philly side, I'm not really going to have that much exposure. But on the opposite side is where we're going to get a ton of DFS options, I feel like. Fred VanVleet is out, right? So that's a huge bump to Pascal Siakam, OG. Scotty looked hurt last game, but he definitely gave it his all. Didn't play in the fourth, which is interesting. So we'll need to keep an eye on the starting lineup. If he's in there, I'd feel more comfortable about playing him and expecting that he gets a ton of minutes. But generally, when Fred VanVleet has been out, it's usually been point guard Scotty, right? Point Scotty, and then Gary Trent. They're the ones kind of running it. And then Pascal obviously does his thing, driving to the basket. So all of these guys would firmly be in play for me from the Toronto side. Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent is way too cheap on DraftKings. He'll surely be chalk, but without Fred VanVleet, this guy's just going to chuck even more, have more ball handling opportunity. And then where we really need to keep an eye on is how Toronto is going to start. Are they going to start Precious Achiuwa? Are they going to keep Scotty off the bench? I don't know if they have a choice. I think they have to start Scotty here. So at 6K, Scotty would be a great play. Precious is only 4.1. Chris Boucher is only 3.9. And then the huge question mark, I feel like that can free up a lot of your build tonight. If you're planning to do a double stud build or something, is Thaddeus Young. He played 30 minutes last game and put up 35.25 fantasy points. And he's not really always the sexiest play, but he's kind of a big that can facilitate right at the top of the elbow, make good passes and kind of facilitate the offense. So he's interesting to me as well. But yeah, I mean, the Fred VanVleet void will have to be filled. And I just think all these Toronto guys, you're going to need to have at least one of them in your lineup just because of the gap that needs to be filled. So I think from a DFS perspective, this game on the Toronto side, you're going to need a few pieces and you're going to need exposure for sure.
All right. Well, I can't wait. I'm building a little lineup while we're doing the show, so I can't wait to build a little core with you at the end and then see, of course, where you guys land when you post the cores on runpuresports.com. Promo code GetBets. Tyler, what do you think here? Raptors, Sixers?
I think Philly finishes them up tonight, but I'm going to go with Toronto to cover. I think 8's too many. I mean, you could tell Embiid's banged up, so I really don't want to back them. They could come out, they could shoot a nice percentage back at home with the role players. But I think they keep it close. I like the Tobias Harris call with the 20-plus points and win by We the People.
Mhm.
But I'm going to take his double-double and win because with Embiid banged up, you can kind of tell he really doesn't want to get in there and bang for rebounds. He's also getting put in the pick and roll and dragged out to the outside. Harris hit double-digit rebounds in the last 2 games. I think he gets there again, so going to take that and is over at 8.5 rebounds. The other ones I were looking at was somebody's got to pick up the ball handling duties on Toronto's side. You got to think it's Siakam or Barnes or the combination of both of them. So I'd be looking at their assist lines. Barnes is sitting at 3.5. That number's way too low for a guy that could be playing point guard for most of the game. And then Siakam's at 5.5. I think that's a little bit too low. They're pretty juiced, so if you can find better lines, I see minus 144 and minus 160.
Mhm.
Definitely want to find better lines than that, but if you can find those closer, like minus 120, I would definitely bet them.
All right. Glock. Ken says he can have 4 to 5 Raptors in here. We the People says 2 to 3 Raptors. You're setting your saber, Sam. What boundary are you creating? How many Raptors?
I would say in large field 3. Generally 3, like on any type of slate. 3 to 4 for sure on a 3-game slate, but 3 usually is my number, like for any team on any given slate, especially in large field tournaments, because when you're aiming for that top of the tournament, you want every player to hit upside, right? And so like just imagine a lineup with Pascal, Scotty, and OG, right? Like just imagine what Pascal has to do. He kind of has to get close to a triple double or like 35 and 5 to really get you your ceiling performance, right?
And you're totally buying high there.
Yeah,
After his
exactly.
best game
Exactly.
last time. Yeah.
And then you pair him with Scotty and OG. Like I would probably max 2 of those 3 guys because those 3 guys are going to battle for rebounds, right? They're going to battle for assists. They're going to battle for points. And, anytime someone asks me a question about what's the max amount of players you're playing from a team, I always say 3 because like in those large field tournaments, like you're not going to see many times where you have 4 the same players from the team.
I'm remember that next year if the
Yeah.
Thunder start pulling some stunts again.
Minus the Thunder, right? Because the
Right,
Thunder,
when their whole starting lineup's 3K.
when they're playing, yeah, you have it's a slate by slate basis, and like when they're playing a 6-man rotation like they were at the end of the year, I definitely did not set max 3 for them. But yeah, when you're talking about these kind of normalish playoff slates, it's I would set max 3 personally.
All right, Tyler, it doesn't seem like we're too excited about
Would you play any Tobias Harris, Glock? I mean, just looking at his log in this series.
Great.
Pulling it up now. Yeah, he's played great, but the minutes are there. I mean, he's playing a ton of minutes. 41, 47, 39, 37.
Yeah, I think behind Embiid, he would be my second favorite option for sure. And like at his salary and what he's been getting you in the series, like it's not going to kill you, right? And these playoff slates where your value is kind of shaky, like these mid-tier guys that get you 30 to 40 on a slate, they can be on the winner easily, right? Because like when you're trying to play like a Giannis build or like an Embiid build or a Luka build, you kind of need like some shaky value. Like let's say just for example, like a Maxi Kleber or Royce O'Neal, right? Those guys could easily get you 25 and they could easily get you 5. And in the scenarios that they get you 5 and then the stud doesn't crush and gets you like 55 or 60, like the mid-tier build is going to win out, right? Because those 2 mid-tier guys are probably going to get you 35 or 40. And so I don't mind plays like that at all in the mid-range. If you land on Tobias Harris and you have like 3 Raptors, I think that's like a perfectly great correlation.
All right. Yeah, that sounds pretty good for that game. Let's go into the game of the night. And we talked about it a lot at the top, Glock, because, hey, we really thought we were going to get rid of those Jazz. And I'm not even that big of a Mavericks fan, and I'm just hating on the Jazz right now. Let's be honest here. So, but hey, with having you on the show, we got to do this with Title last year too, as I was big on the Bucks last year and rooting for them financially. So, pretty high on the Mavericks tonight. I can't believe this line is so short. We got lucky, man. How is this not -5, man? It's like they had to do everything in their power to win game 4 at home. This team doesn't defend. They're not communicating. The body language is terrible. Dallas is going back home. Like Tyler said, Luka's had that game to get everything back in. I think this team's hitting on all cylinders tonight. Those role players like Maxi Kleber, I think they have a great night at home. Give me the Dallas Mavericks. This is my favorite play on the board. Glock, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree, but let's hear it.
Oh yeah, we're arm in arm like the last time that we were on a show and then the Mavs were on the slate. So Yeah, I totally agree with you, Spread. I just think Luka, like I said, I don't know if everyone heard, but in the first half, it felt like he was kind of taking it easy, like didn't want to push his calf like way too hard, kind of walking up the court, letting Brunson and Dinwiddie, bring the ball up and initiate the offense. But in the second half, I feel like I saw, the Luka that we're all accustomed to seeing, like the aggressive one, making plays. And he only had 4 assists, and I think he only had 8 potential assists, which is kind of low number for him. He's usually in the 10 plus for sure. And so like I could see the Mavs coming out here and Luka gets, 5 assists in the first quarter easily. And his teammates weren't knocking down the shots early on in Utah, right? They were down 12 going in the half. They had to make a big run in the second half to kind of give themselves a chance to win the game. So yeah, at home, these shooters, Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, they're going to shoot a lot better, in the home crowd. And I know Dallas is going to be ready for sure. So I do lean the Mavs here. I think they do bounce back in a big way. And I think Luka, he would be my second favorite spend behind Tatum, I think. They're very, very close, right? I think one key thing to note is that, the press conference before the game that kid will have, it'll be interesting to see like if they're still going to limit Luka like they did that first game, right? Because generally
he'll say they will. Does the press conference matter? He's going to say they will no matter what. But if you've got a chance to go up 3-2, and I said it earlier, but teams that win Game 5 win 82% of the series.
Yep.
So I don't know if I believe anything he says. I don't remember a lot from Luka. I mean, kids Milwaukee days to know how truthful he is on the podium, but we'll see.
Yeah. So like just for example, last slate, some sites had Luka projected for 25, some had him projected for 30. And no one would go over 30 just because of the uncertainty of the calf. And he ended up playing 33 minutes, right? So now sites are actually projecting him like 35, 36, 37 minutes. And if that's the case, then we can expect Luka to have a big game because in last game, he came out middle of the first and then came back at the end of the first. And generally his normal rotation is entire first quarter, come back in middle of the second, entire third quarter. And then based on, the health of the game in the fourth, like if they're behind or if they're ahead, then that'll judge when he comes in the fourth quarter. So if he sticks with that regular rotation, I love Luka as a fantasy option tonight. Like he's just a full rhythm player. And when he gets hot, right? So that entire first quarter can be like an explosion. And you saw with Jokic last night, right? Like he had 18 points in the first stint or rotation or something like that. He had something absurd. And I just feel Luka, all these elite players, they're the exact same way. Like if they get hot, they continue to stay hot until they get taken out. And then when they come back in, that's when they try to rebuild their momentum again. But yeah, I think Luka is firmly in play. I don't think he'll come with much ownership, which is obviously low owned player, one of the best in the world. How can you pass up on that? And then with Luka being in, obviously it reduces my interest in people like Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, definitely not a play on the fantasy side. And then I think you can consider, Maxi Kleber as value, Dwight Powell's okay value. He does play better with Luka in there, but I do prefer Kleber because I think the style of play in this matchup just better suits Kleber, right? The Mavs have been more successful when Kleber's out there on the floor because he can do both things that they need to do: stretch the floor and play defense. Dwight Powell can play defense, but he can't spread the floor. Davis Bertans can't play defense, but he can spread the floor. So, you kind of get the best of both worlds with Kleber in there. And I think they're going to make it an emphasis, for Kleber not to get silly fouls because they definitely need him in there. If he plays 30 plus minutes, the Mavs are going to have a really good chance to win this game by a lot. So those would be my options on the Mavs side. I think you can always consider Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock as a last in. Obviously at home, they're going to shoot the ball better. They're going to get wide open looks that are generated from Luka. So I don't mind them as well. But always it's the head of the snake for me, Luka. And then on the Jazz side, Bojan Bogdanovic, we've kind of been riding him all throughout the playoffs, and he kind of had a stinker last game. He got a price decrease to 5,800 on DK. So I think he's totally fine. And then Jordan Clarkson is one guy AP's been really high on throughout the playoffs. And I think he's been actually one of the Jazz's best players. Every time I see Jordan Clarkson check in, I'm like, I get nervous from a Mavs fan perspective because he's the guy that like really has been going off and not missing shots, creating offense for the Jazz, really giving them that spark plug. So I think he's a great option at 4-7. And then Donovan Mitchell at 8.8. I don't know if I can go there. He rates as a good play, low owned, but he's really he's a raw scorer, right? And we all know that. Like he has double.
He's been trying to pad the stats though.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna get you 30 raw.
He
plus,
knows that playoff average is really high.
Yeah,
that's all he cares about.
30. Yeah, he wants to get to his average 30 plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is he gonna get you the peripherals? Is he gonna get you 35 raw points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds?
So who do you like more at 8.8 in that range? Say we're at utility
range. I would rather just pay up, spread. I would rather just do a double stud spend up, like go like a Luka Tatum, and then find my mid range, like fill in with like a Gary Trent, Nico Claxton, players like that, rather than stick in that 8.8 range, most likely. So
like because I got Harden at 9.2.
Yeah, drop down to Jaylen Brown instead at 8.2. Okay. I would rather
you like Jaylen Brown more than Donovan Mitchell tonight.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm making a change. I had him in my lineup. I liked him tonight because I felt like his floor was so high. Because I know he's going to try and get that scoring. That's all he cares about. I mean, it's just it's been rough watching him play. All right, Tyler. Me and Glock went for a long time. Hope you're still with us here, buddy. Are you on Glock's Dallas Mavericks or the Utah Lunch Bunch? Who do you like?
No, give me Dallas here at -3. I mean, they're back home. Luka's probably going to be a little bit off that minutes restriction, I think. They might come out and say something later on. We'll see. But I think he ups the minutes here. Back at home, the role players are going to shoot better. Bullock's going to light this team up. I think Dorian Finney-Smith will hit a couple threes. Mm-hmm. And I think they're just going to – they might even run him off the floor tonight. I think there's a good possibility they blow him out. I mean, looking at some of these performance doubles, Luka 30-plus points and wins, +182. His double-double and win, +186. 8+ assists and win, 2-1. Jalen Brunson, 2+ threes and win, +210. Brunson, 22+ points and win, +240. Him 6+ rebounds and win, +340. I like that one a lot because Brunson has rebounded the ball well in this series. And then if you wanted to go all the way up to like a Luka triple-double and win, it's 10-1, which I think has a good possibility back at home.
All right. There we go. So, seems like we all like the Mavericks.
I like the under, too.
I'm going to be so disappointed if Utah wins. Go ahead on the under.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the pace they played in the first couple games. It was a little bit up, and then game 3, it was really up. They put up a ton of points. Luka came back, and that pace turned into a snail pace. He's going to walk it up the floor, set up the offense. Now, if both teams shoot 50+% from the field, 40+% from 3, they'll probably beat me here, but I'll take my chances on the under.
So 212.5, you like it right there?
Yep.
All right. I like that too. All right. So I've been trying to make a lineup here. Glock, we'll do like we do with AP. We'll try and make a little core, and then Tyler can change it without telling me and win a bunch of money. That's the plan for tonight. So here we go. I'm going to start, and we say that we're going kind of stars and scrubs tonight. I'll just put Luka in there, right? I expect him to have a big night. He should be lower owned because of the worries about the minutes there. And he's really got a chance to break it open, right? 30 and 10 in the last game with only 4 assists. We think the assists are higher. I mean, pretty easy way for us to start, right?
Yeah, for sure. Can't ever fault you for starting a lineup with Luka for sure. And JSU will also get on for me like about this because every time we're about to hop on up to lock, he's like, Glock, is there any slate that you don't roster Luka? I'm like, I gotta at least sprinkle him in there, man, no doubt. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can't blame you for starting with Luka for sure.
Tyler, who do you want to add in here? I know that you like Tobias Harris a lot when we were breaking the games down.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to go Jaylen Brown. I'll put the other stud in there. I think there's going to be some weird stuff going on with Tatum tonight. Maybe he draws a couple fouls. Maybe the shooting variance is there tonight. I think Brown absolutely kills this Brooklyn team tonight. So I'm going to go with Jaylen Brown.
All right. So, Glock, you saw what we did there, right? We took the easy pickings out there. We're leaving you to find the value in this lineup. Where are we looking for on some value tonight?
Well, you guys picked 2 lower-ish owned options, so I think I can just go straight into the chalk value, Gary Trent. I mean, he's not really that value, but he's cheap for, based on the role that he's going to have tonight without Fred VanVleet. So 5.7 on DK, super cheap tag for someone that's going to shoot. Last 2 games, he shot 20 times and 19 times. you're going to take that any day of the week. So give me Gary Trent as our third person in the core.
All right. Do you have any more value that you want to throw in there to help me be able to afford these guys?
Yeah. I'm to correlate with Luka, I'm gonna also add in Jordan Clarkson. I think the last 2 games you could kind of see a shift in Quinn Snyder's mentality and realizing that he's one of the key catalysts to their team. He's played 30 minutes in game 3 and then 36 in game 4. So at 4-7, I think he's totally fine to reduce some salary for you there. He would be, definitely going to be in my lineup tonight for sure as well.
All right. There you go, guys. And hopefully we can get some more screenshots this evening. Tyler, time for the best bets. Gregory Russo, perfect time. You probably logged off. I said, don't care about this analysis. I just want the winners. Tyler's got them for you. Start with you.
I'm glad he's still here because that pick we had at the beginning of the series is going to finally finish his series off. Boston money line.
All right. He's got to love that. Glaucoma, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to ride the tradition of keeping the streak alive. The last time we were on this show, me and Spread hopped on, duoed the Mavs spread. I think it was +5, right? So I'm going to take the Mavs tonight, -3, taking care of business at home, taking a 3-2 lead in Dallas versus Utah.
Yeah, and we're doing the same thing tonight, guys. There's not a lot on this board, right? I think the first game feels like really gambling, like some roulette or some blackjack there with all the uncertainties. And I think give the bookmakers credit there. I mean, if you say, hey, you have to do one, I would take the under in the Raptors game, if you want a third one. But I really like the Mavericks so much more. So that's going to be my best bet for the day. Glaucoma, tell them all the great content over at runpuresports.com. Promo code get bets this week.
Yeah, we're going to keep breaking it down. JSU and Big T will be on every day before lock, basically, of each slate, 7 days a week in the playoffs. So be tuned into that. I'll be joining them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then, be on next Monday with you guys. We're going to be providing the usual playbooks, scores, heat map. Playbook and heat map are already up from AP for today. So if you're not a member already, go ahead and check it out. AP's playbooks and heat map are always key to cashing on the slates and shipping. So we're just going to keep grinding the content through with you guys. Obviously we have MLB going, that's going strong as well. We had someone qualify for a FanDuel Live final seat last night, I believe. So everything's trucking along, all the sports, one price, as we like to say. It's fun stuff for sure right now.
Okay. And one of the things going on runpuresports.com on your YouTube channel now is this new show that Travis has that comes on at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Correct.
And because of some things that I have going on tomorrow, we're going to go live when Travis jumps off the air tomorrow. So it's going to be around 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to put the promo tweet out, 9 a.m. my time, 12 p.m. Eastern, right when Travis's show's over. And we'll jump on with Travis then, and we're going to get that information out to you early. Because I won't be here for the normal rundown. After that, we go back to the normal time for the rest of the week. We'll have Hoop on Wednesday, JSU Thursday, and, of course, AP on Friday. But just let everyone know right now, we will be on early. We love having you here in the chat. At least, if you jump on at 12:30 and you didn't catch this part of the show, you'll just be able to rewatch it at 12:30. But, we're going early tomorrow. So we'll go as soon as Travis finishes his show. And if you haven't seen Travis's show, it's definitely a lot of fun, especially if you're building NBA and
I might be on there very soon. We'll see.
I'm trying to get on there too, man. My agent keeps reaching out to his agent, and boy, I mean, it's tough to get on, man. I might have to fire my guy and get that guy from Entourage. What was that guy's name? Ari Gold. I think he's my only way I'm going to be able to get on that show.
It's a prestigious show, Spread.
It is.
He really has to clear his schedule to get us on there.
It's like a comedian going on Carson back in the day. It could really make your career. So hopefully we'll be able to pull that off. So, anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. Tyler, before we jump off, are you giving a parlay now, or do we need to wait?
Yeah, I built one. We can give it out. It's going to be Jaylen Brown, 25+ points in Boston wins.
Okay.
Tobias Harris, double-double in Philly wins, and Luka, double-double in Dallas wins. That gets us 43-1.
Fantastic.
1 second, Spread. Before we leave, someone just posted in the RPS Discord regarding the quote-unquote extender. In the last 21 playoff games that Scott Foster has refereed, not game 1.
Yeah, I gave that stat out while we did it.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's 19-2, right?
The team behind in the
Yeah.
series is 19-2,
Yeah.
including the 0-3 Raptors to the Sixers. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one I said earlier where I said this whole thing's stupid because it doesn't even feel like we're capping the basketball game. And I hate so, I mean, obviously you're not modeling as much, right? But a tough thing when you're doing is how much weight do I put into this, right? How much is each player worth by an injury? How much is a player playing hurt worth, right? These are the things that are make or break your model. And I'll be honest, I just don't know how to adjust when you read a stat like that. I mean, it makes you want to make them worth like 5 points, right? But it seems like it's too much. But is it? That's why
Especially when the line is so close, right?
And that's the thing is the line is close for a reason because the money lines are right. Because I think that I don't think, like, for example, I think that Raptors game finishes pretty close to the number tonight. I think this game could be, within 20 points, blowout either way. I don't, close game, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hated that game. I hated reading that, and I hate the fact that we even have to think about that. So once you get to the point where we see you and you've overshadowed the game, in my idea, you should move on. You go be on TV. Go sit next to Mark Jackson. So
I totally agree.
That kind of sucks there. But all right, guys, 12 Eastern tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern for you guys, 9 a.m. Pacific for the NBA rundown. Then we get back to our normal schedule next week. MLB guys are going live within 20 minutes, and then the final countdown with JSU and Big T for RunPureSports.com members. Promo code GetBets, RunPure.